Well, Ashley, we are going live any second now. Who do you want to do a shout out to?
Oh, you gave me a great idea. I want to shout out to all the farmers that feed us every day and nourish us with their hard labor.
Awesome. Farmers, here we go. Guys, we are talking to Ashley S DeMarco today. Something super, super important to us. She is here to revolutionize collective health, guide farmers towards sustainable and bioavailable agriculture, and build communities that support each other to thrive. Her mission is to help people and the planet return to origin. Water reminds her of currency, which we're going to talk about. It really is meant to flow in and out, just like the sea. Ashley, how are you?
I am so good to be here. Thank you so much, Mike, for having me.
I'm excited that you're here also. The first thing I want to clear up, because people are going to go, she's into currency. What the heck does that even mean? And I'm going to bring that up on the screen so people can see. You spell it a little bit differently when you talk
Yeah.
about currency. What is that
So when I say current, what do you think of?
right now? Or I think of water moving.
Yeah. So you think
Yeah,
of moving.
yeah, I think of
Um,
water.
and then when I say currencies, what do you think of?
Oh, maybe seas that are moving.
Okay, awesome. So then we also have it spelled the current with uh, SIES, so currencies in terms of money. And
Yes.
so the way that I put these words together really shows that as a collective, we're energetic beings. And I believe that money is a part of this energy exchange. It's a
Uh,
placeholder. Money is a placeholder for energy. And so, currency is this idea that money is supposed to be flowing, it's supposed to be fluid. I
oh,
pay somebody to massage me, and then she uses that $100 to pay her electric bill, and then that company uses that money to pay its employees, and those employees use their money to buy their groceries, and
yep.
it's this collective evolution of currency. It's moving in and out of people's lives. And that's exactly what water is. It's moving
Oh,
in and out of our bodies at all times. We're constantly replacing the water in our cells. So that is why it's so vital to drink the best water and bathe in the best water, because that is the water that's flowing in and out of you.
that's excellent. We're going to focus on water because people, I think a lot of times we just take water for granted, at least in the US. In other parts of the world, they don't take it for granted. But we're going to talk about water today and different types of water and why it's important and those sorts of things. So we've talked before, and you've talked about the three or four different types of water. So let's start with what everyone usually thinks of, and that's tap water. What is up with tap water?
So, tap water, especially now after this 2 years of uncertainty in the world, they're adding more and more disinfectants to the water than ever. So,
Yeah.
chlorine and bromine and chloride, all of these disinfectants are being added to the water, as well as fluoride, to disinfect the water, but those are never filtered out. They actually cause tertiary contaminants to form in the water. And then what we're dealing with a lot of places, like majority, is that the pipes haven't been replaced in 50, 60 years. Um, and the industry itself is just, it's, we think and we believe that it's regulated. Specifically, we think bottled water is regulated, but everything is run through the same um, agents in the government. And it's just, I would say it's the least of their priorities to make sure that we're having clean water,
Okay.
especially because of the amount of municipalities in the United States. So I know that they are thinking they're doing their best to clean the water, but it's just, I don't believe it's drinkable. And I don't,
Okay.
yeah.
So a lot of people, I know a lot of people will saying, you know what, I don't actually drink my tap water. You know, I might cook with it or bathe with it, but I go out and get bottled water. So is bottled water any better than tap water then?
So again, we're coming back to that same industry that's kind of failing us in the tap water department. They're still regulating the bottled water industry, so it's not very regulated. And there's a really good movie. It's called Cap, and it just talks about what's going on in the bottled water industry because it's really unregulated. They're
Uh-huh.
stealing water from, you know, third world countries that are struggling with their own water. Like they're stealing water from municipalities in our own country that are struggling, that have water scarcity. And then the plants that they put them through to clean the water is still doing the same thing that the tap water industry is doing. And then they're bottling it with petroleum plastic. And then they're selling it to you for 100 times. They're marking it up 100 times what they paid
Right.
for it. So you're basically paying for plastic wrapped tap water that might have a little less contaminants, but again, we're now having scientific research come out that there's microplastics in the bottled water. And so they're saying 90% of the microplastics found in the human body are coming from bottled water because it's sitting on a shelf for so long. Their shelf lives are 8 to 10 years. So you think about water as a solvent, it's a leach, it leaches things, right? And so
Right.
it's going to leach the chemicals and the microplastics from that bottle. So I definitely don't think it's good for the human body or the planet, especially long term. Like we
Okay.
see in disaster relief a lot of the time, they drop off a ton of water, but it sits out in the sun, and it just again we're creating more disaster. That plastic they're saying is gonna leave the planet in 500 years, but how do we really know? Plastic's only
Right.
been around for 50 years,
Right.
so
And we're
I
only
don't
going
think
to be here like 80 or 90 years tops anyway. Maybe 120, the new generation.
I know.
Right. Okay.
But yeah, I just don't think plastic is the best solution for our health because of I mean, I test water all the time. Go to our website, check it out. We have our own demos on there. We can do demos with you live through Zoom. We can show you, the difference between these waters, and there's just nothing compared to, the living water that I'm drinking.
Okay. So we've got tap water, we've got bottled water. Now I know in like we've got the filters that you can put in the house, like the reverse osmosis, right? Now, what's wrong with that, or is that better?
So, reverse osmosis is what most people in the 90s started coming to the conclusion of getting because they actually started using in agriculture first. They were like, we're watering all of these fields with this water and it's so contaminated. So, reverse osmosis was really born to help agriculture. But that was back when we had an abundance of reservoirs filled with water throughout the United States. I mean, Southern California, Texas, like all parts of that area are really scarce with water. And so um, the, what was I just saying? Oh, so
The
the filters, reverse osmosis wastes 5 to 6 gallons for every 1 gallon it produces. So I think the major thing nowadays that we need to really, really focus on is not wasting so much water. And then reverse osmosis also strips everything from the water. It's not leaving the potassium, the calcium, the iron, and the magnesium that we need in the water to actually deliver our cells nutrients. So,
So let me ask you a question about that, because most people think, water is H2O, and like pure water, H2O, um, doesn't have potassium and calcium and all this other stuff that you're saying that we need. So is any of that water that you're talking about, is that naturally occurring anywhere? Or is the water you're talking about only made like through some other process?
yeah, like the water coming from the ground naturally has those minerals. It's running through, think about like all the water that we get in our tap and all the water that's in bottled water is coming from ground. And the ground has all those minerals and the ground has all those nutrients that we need. The rocks, the minerals are coming from, running through these reservoirs. And so, um, the best way I like to put it is like imagine a glacier, and it's
Okay.
frozen over time. And as that glacier starts to melt, its frozen solid minerals have been stuck in there for how long? They actually start to melt. And as they run down these streams, they're crashing over rocks, and that's creating electrolysis. So it's expanding those minerals. And that's why when it gets to our house, it does have those minerals in it. But when it goes through all of this heavy decontamination in these, tap water municipalities or these bottled water municipalities, it's removing so much of those nutrients. And then again, we're putting it through RO devices, which is completely stripping the liquid of all nutrients. So it does get rid of contaminants, but it does get rid of nutrients. And so we don't find that long term use of RO is safe for the body because it's just stripping all the minerals. So, no major athlete you've ever seen ever is drinking RO water because
When you say RO, you mean reverse osmosis.
yes, because their muscles will spaz, and it's because they don't have the nutrients from the water. So it's we see. I'm not really big into sports, but a lot of people are in my community, and they talk about all of the major athletes that are winning games and all the things, like they're drinking this water because it's the only water that actually absorbs into the cell quick enough so that they can drink it and play their activity, or go out in the field and not have it sloshing around, not have to pee right away. Because a lot of people try to drink water, like you
Right.
said, they're drinking tap water, they're drinking bottled water, they're drinking reverse osmosis, but it's not absorbing into their cells. So they're peeing it out.
So when you're not peeing out the water, what is the benefit of good water? And we're going to talk about your water in just a second, but when you actually get really good water, what are some of the benefits of other than just being hydrated and having nice skin? What do you get from good water?
So think about when you burn a log, what's left when it's completely burned?
Ash?
Yes, same thing that's happening in our cell. When our cell is burning energy, there's a little bit of waste product left. And
Okay.
so when we're drinking living water, water that immediately penetrates the cell, it actually excretes that toxic waste and then replaces that waste with all of these minerals that I'm talking about. And so it's on a hydration level, you're getting, 7 to 9 times more hydrated from this water than you are any other water.
When you say hydrated, and I just want to clear up this word because a lot of people use the word I am hydrated. What does that mean?
Scientifically, it means that you are drinking at least, this is base level, at least 8 12-ounce glasses of water a day. And from the research that I research, Dr. Corinne Allen, she has a brain health institute,
Oh,
and I have been listening to her for 5 years now, and her research is something that I'll discuss a little bit, soon today. And she just talks about the voltage in the human body. So every cell in the human body holds voltage,
okay.
and electricity moves chemistry. So all of these chemical reactions in the body are moved by the electricity, the voltage we have.
Okay.
And so our cells operate at negative 20 to negative 25 millivolts. And so disease is all about voltage.
Oh. So when the voltage is not correct, you start to develop more diseases is what happens. So if you don't have the right water, then you don't have the right voltage, which means you're more susceptible to more disease. Is that right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Dang, I like this.
Do you want to go a little bit deeper into that, like the science of that a little bit, or do you think we should?
No, let's talk about that because I talk to a lot of people about, the energy in the body, right? So if we want to talk about energy in the body, let's get into the science of it because we often talk about the metaphysical part of the heart and body and blood and electricity. So yeah, tell us about the science of it so it all makes comes together for people who don't go the other way.
Yeah, so much of that you've talked about before, the intuition, the energy, all of that spiritual side of us, right?
Hmm.
That is run, it's moved by electricity. It's moved by energy in the body, and that energy is coming from the voltage in our cells, and our cells are 90% water.
Wow.
So the really the most important element in our entire body is water. And we are constantly replacing ourselves. Like we said in the very beginning of the call, you asked what currency meant. It's this in and out motion, this moving, constantly moving. And so our cells are constantly replacing. They're rebuilding every single day. Our rods and cones replace every 48 hours, skin every 6 weeks, liver every 6 weeks, our nervous system every 8 months, our bones take a year, but it's literally all of the cells within them are completely replacing. And so we're rebuilding ourselves every year. And when we say we're rebuilding ourselves, we're actually rebuilding our cells, cells. And what that means is, it only takes a good quote I always like to remember by Dr. Jerry Tennant is the key to making chronic disease or any disease, mental disease, any sort of suffering better is making one single cell work. So if you can make one single step, one single change in your life, and that just starts to perpetuate, it's like a pebble dropped in water. It's just the vibrations keep going out. The same thing is happening in your body.
I like what you're saying there, especially with I'm just going to use anti-aging, but what you can say is if you get better water, you're building better connection, you're replacing all these things. I didn't think about, I guess one does think about their cells being replaced, but when you said, oh, your liver replaces itself every how often? Every
6 weeks.
6 weeks? I get a new liver every 6 weeks.
Hmm.
So for everyone who's out there drinking too much, stop for 6 weeks and you can get a new one.
Yeah.
Get some good water and you can build a new liver.
You need
I
to
am
it all out. You need to flush it out. If you want to get healthy, it's about you need to flush out what's not serving your body, and then you can have the absorption of the nutrients of the good food that you're putting in your body, the good thoughts and things like that. But it's really first getting out that toxic stuff that's been stuck in us. And I believe, I've watched people now for 4 years drink this water, and I see every single year they de-age. They're anti-aging. I see their mental acuity, their just ability to have clear, precise memory and thoughts and things. It enhances. I'm actually watching it with my own eyes, and I'm experiencing it myself. But I believe because this is so rapid, like bones every
wow.
single year. My skin is the best it's ever been. I never use anything other than water now. I mean, it's just simplified my life so much. I can't even.
Okay. What we haven't actually talked about, we've talked about the bad water, the tap water, the bottled water, the reverse osmosis water. What we haven't mentioned is the water that you actually promote and that we all need to be able to get. So tell us about the water that you actually um, think that we should have and produce and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so there's a technology, it's been around for 48 years. It uses electrolysis. It runs, so any municipality depending on how contaminated the water is, we suggest using a pre-filter. I use the company Multi-Pure, and everything that I'm talking about is on my website. So if you kind of get lost here, just check out my website. But
Okay, what's your website so people know? Is that the Living Water?
Living Water WNC. Yeah.
Okay.
And then, so we use a pre-filter. Normally, if it's tap water from a municipality, the water is contaminated. We want to be putting the cleanest water through these machines. So we use a pre-filter that filters out all of the contaminants, but keeps the main minerals in the water. And then the water goes through our ionizer device. And this device creates 7 different voltage options that you can use throughout your home. And so I drink, and what I'm talking about today and what's in my glass is it's called 9.5, and that's a voltage. So for every point on the pH scale,
Okay.
pH
pH standing
stands.
for parts hydrogen.
Yep, potential
Okay.
hydrogen, yes. And so for every point on there, it's a logarithmic scale. So it's a 10-fold difference. So even if we're going from my groundwater, because I have a well, and my groundwater is about a 7, and I'm going from 7, actually, I have, I don't have, but if I'm going from 7 to even 8, that's 10 times more hydroxyl ions. That's 10 times more hydrogen in the water.
And what does that mean for me to have more hydrogen in the water?
Hydrogen is the voltage. Hydrogen is that negative voltage that we need. So think a great word to use for voltage is antioxidants. People have heard of that word, right?
Yes.
So antioxidants is voltage. It's adding electricity to the body. Oxidizing is is stealing electrons. So the best way you can visualize this is think of an avocado. You cut it
Okay.
open, and in one day, that avocado on the outside starts to brown.
Yes.
That is oxidation. And on a scientific level, that is one atom, electrons, stealing from other electrons. It's oxidizing.
Okay.
So the opposite of that would be lending electrons. So instead of it going brown, it would be even more green. It would be even more ripe, right? With the nutrients. And that's what's happening on an internal level. And that's why my skin and my hair and my nails, you can see it externally, because it's this anti-aging, this adding of electrons, this adding of voltage. And um,
So
the
actually adding more the hydrogen atoms, in your case going from the 8 to the 9.5, is adding more hydrogen into your water, and thus you're getting a better connectivity between your red blood cells so that you're feeling better. So now sometimes people say, more is not good, but I'm waiting to hear what the more and more is. How high can you go with this, and what are the benefits or not benefits of adding more hydrogen?
Do you follow Dr. Bush? He does a lot of research behind soil microbiology of the soil.
I don't, but it seems like I'm probably gonna have to.
Yes, I would highly recommend you do. So he's one of my most like I look up to him the most when it comes to science
Okay.
and biology of the human body and the planet, because he really relates the microbiome of the soil to the microbiome of the human gut. And he basically has this whole premise that if you heal the microbiome of the soil, then you heal, it's a complete cyclical thing. We eat
Right.
what the ground provides. So he believes that structured water in this way has the ability to remove shame and guilt from the DNA. Now, I have physically witnessed this happen to my own self through water, using this water with my own healing practices. I don't believe there's a limit to how far we can take this, because I believe that our human nature, our human alignment, the highest self part of us is this like is calling this in, because this is really what we need to get to that next level of consciousness. It's the physical that moves the metaphysical, you know? It's the electricity that moves the chemistry, right? And so if you're just consuming this a gallon, 2 gallons a day, there's no end to feeling amazing. And what happens when people start to change their frequency, right? Because we're talking about
Hmm.
voltage and vibration, is they literally align with things that they've been wanting. They've been trying to manifest, right? But they haven't been in the frequency to receive. And so that's where that current C comes in, because that's the wealth aspect. Because not people in this 2022 need health more than ever, but they also need wealth more than ever. There's this symbiotic relationship between the two.
Go back to the part you said something that just really piqued my curiosity. You said by drinking the water, you actually helped yourself get rid of shame and guilt, and talk about how that actually happened. How does the mental, the shame and the guilt, how did you get rid of that by drinking water?
Have you ever heard that all of our memory is stored in the water in our body? That
I have not heard that one, but okay. I don't have a problem believing that, believe me.
Dr. Emoto, somebody Emotto, has studied memory in water. So the best visual I have for you is that he took a snowflake, it melted in one position. You know, every snowflake on the entire planet has a different geometrical shape.
Right.
So he took that snowflake, it melted, and then he took it to a new elevation, and it froze in one location and melted on the way to the new location, and it melted in the exact same geometric shape as it did in the new location.
Okay.
Now,
Was that unexpected? I mean, that I would expect that to happen, right?
it was unexpected.
Uh,
He didn't expect that to happen.
okay.
It remembered the geometric shape of before. And then what he also studied is the ability to talk to water. So when you say positive things to water, what grew from that? So then they had all these experiments growing food from a jar that had some positive affirmations on it. People would come up and talk to it positively. And then they had another experiment going where people would say really mean and negative things like, I'm not worthy, I'm broke, all of these things, that kind of lower the vibration. And they
Okay.
saw that the difference between what was grown was so much more abundant, so much more beautiful when there was positive things said to it than there was when it was negative. And so, if this is true, and I believe it to be true, that water holds memory in our body, then the ability to restructure the current water in our body to remove these shame and guilt patterns is there. It's a
Gotcha.
possibility.
I think I misunderstood what you said before. So when he let the snowflake melt, it just became basically a blob of water. But when it refroze at the different elevation, it came back to the same pattern. Yeah,
Exactly.
no, I would not expect that. Not at all. So that's fascinating. So in his research, what he's finding is that actually taking the water in with more hydrogen, like we want, and reprogramming it through whatever affirmations or other practices we want to, we can then get that body to be the memory that we want to actually hold within us all the time. Is that right?
Yeah.
That's awesome. I'm
Yeah.
going to start drinking some more living water.
It's such a beautiful gift that we have, and only 1% of the US population even knows about this technology. And so, we're trying as hard as we can to make this as as visible and common as possible, because if you can imagine, Michael, everybody you love who suffers from any sort of chronic disease, or anything, any mental challenges, any emotional blockages, anybody in your life that has those issues, if you can imagine them being properly hydrated and joining a community of people that empower you and inspire you daily to stay hydrated, it's going to change really the planet. And I truly believe, I didn't really share much about my story, but the way I found this water is because I was pregnant and I was so sick from my pregnancy, and my emotional state in an unplanned pregnancy, that I almost lost my baby, but I didn't, because I was able, like, literally my neighbor, I moved to Mexico. My neighbor had a machine. She gave me a
Hmm.
glass of water on Thanksgiving, and I remember being able to hold food down for the first time in over 6 weeks, and it just changed my life. And so, I just believe this has the power to truly transform anybody, because again, we're 90% molecularly water. If we're drinking a different kind of water, one that's providing voltage, one that's microclustered, it's rapidly absorbing, one that's restructured to match the DNA of our cells, and ones that has full hydrogen, we change. We do. And I truly, from the bottom of my heart, like, and everybody in our community, we really, this is a service mission. Like, we're this is a lifetime mission that we share this, because it's truly changed so many of our lives.
I think we need to let people see that website again so that they know how to actually get in touch with you and start living some of this water. Like, I probably want to try it. I want to, when I get from Florida to Texas, we're gonna have to hook some up and start drinking some of this. I'll get rid of this line in my head.
I and you again, we didn't even talk about the hundred other uses for the machine. It's for your skin, for cleaning your whole house. I mean, you replace 100 different products that you're already buying in your home. So, it's the next level of, okay, I'm already spending this every day over a 25-year period. I'm going to invest in something that's going to replace all of that plastic. Think about it.
Wow.
Windex, floor cleaner, bathroom cleaner, mouthwash, all of these things are plastic. And we,
So, what are you suggesting? Using the water for floor cleaner instead of spick and span or something?
yeah.
How does, wait, okay, that's mind blowing.
Yes,
So,
you can use, there's, like I said, there's 7 different voltages that you can choose from on the
right.
machine. And so different voltages provide different properties. And so there's a voltage that's so acidic, that's so, it's called hypochlorous acid, and it's made by using this machine only. There's no other machines that create a medical grade hypochlorous acid. Um, it's stronger than bleach and hydrogen peroxide. You
You don't
can
drink this.
you do not drink it.
Right.
It's all for cleaning, antibacterial, antifungal, antimicrobial. It kills mold. I mean, we have a lot of actual science behind that, because they use this in Japan to clean their medical equipment. So it's a very strong solution. But you again, used externally, like if my daughter fell and got cut, I can
Hmm.
spray this 2.5 on her skin, and again, it's going to oxidize. It's going to help that skin heal so fast. It's very good externally.
Wow. Okay. People are definitely going to have to check that out on this website. And I'm excited to get back over there and read about that part of it because that's amazing. So, and you also have your other website, which is you personally, Ashley S.
Yes. So if you
DeMarco.
guys want to, if anybody watching has wants me to send you your own private tap report, you go to my website and fill out water quality. I will go through everything I can find on your municipality and send it to you, just so I can educate you. And then if you want to find out more about our community, Evolutionera, you want to just find water near you, yeah, go to my website and just click on work with me, and I will get you as close to somebody near you with this machine that I can, because I know that getting the water inside of your bodies is just truly changed, life
I
changing.
just want to thank you for being on, opening up our minds. That's a different way, a funny way of looking. And I love what we're doing here. So thank you very, very much for coming on. And we may just have to have you back on again to talk about the things like everything from medical to cleaning. So thank you very much, Ashley.
Thank
And
you, Michael. Thank you so much for your time today.
thank you. We'll talk to you in the future. Bye bye.
Bye.